So we went back to the Kuwaiti Naval Base, which is where we launched from, and then we ran up to Ali Asalim Air Force Base and loaded all of our shit up. We stole a green Air Force Humvee and hand painted it tan. To the best of our abilities, just loaded down 4 Humvees with, we hung body armor in the doors. Like none of them were armored with bulletproof anything. Put rockets and ammo and MREs in the water and just fucking gypsy wagoned it up across the border into Nasiriyah. The Marines had gotten to Nasiriyah, and that was the first significant resistance that they had encountered, where they were really taking heavies. They had established a main supply route through Nasiriyah, and then it was eventually going to go up into Baghdad. But that's Nasiriyah at that time, which is in the southern part of the country, was kind of where the front lines were. Because I don't know if you remember, how old were you in 2003?
9.
9, so probably not. The way it was supposed to work was half of our forces were coming up through Kuwait, and the other half were coming through the Med, and we're going to come down through Turkey. They're going to meet in Baghdad, north-south sandwich Baghdad. Well, at the last minute, Turkey said, no, you can't use our country, go fuck yourself. And so okay, well, we're just going to go south to north and sweep all the way through the country. And we used half of our forces that we had originally planned. And so we were on that southern front anyway. So at that time, Nasiriyah was kind of the front lines, if you will. So we haul ass up there, and then we stayed put for a few weeks running counter ambush operations, basically, where that was really cool because you had kind of the nicety or the flexibility of the Wild West of there's no forward operating base. Like it's just a fucking free for all, so there weren't many rules. But we had just, basically the Marines, the 15th MU set up, like they just built this berm complex, and we just threw tents up and stayed in a berm. They posted guys at each corner, and so we were running operations out of there, and we would just go get our own intelligence. We would kidnap dudes, or like you could tell, like we're getting ready to go across this bridge. One of their tactics was they would have 2 or 3 vehicles and pop all the hoods like they're having car trouble or whatever, and wait for you to stop, and then they would fucking ambush you or whatever. And so as soon as we saw that, we flanked them and went, forward back, and all got out and swooped them. Take them hostage, kidnap them, throw them in our vehicles, and take them back to base and interrogate them. And then we would use that intelligence that we would get right on the spot to then go find caches or go, fuck shit up or whatever. So
how much are you guys making decisions for yourself as to what to do in the field versus
100%?
100%.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically...
So you're not calling base like, oh, do we have permit?
There's none of that whatsoever. And that's what was cool about it, is it reminded me of all the stories in books that I had read on Vietnam, of when it's basically like, hey, some commander is like, okay, here is my sector. SEALs, this is your fucking grid coordinate. You stay in there, you go do whatever the fuck you want. And they would just go out, and patrol, trying to find shit, they get shot at, or they'd do recon by fire. I mean, they would do whatever they want. They'd just go ambush people. They would kidnap people. They would source and gather their intelligence however the fuck they wanted, and then they would act on it however they wanted. So you're really only developing your concept of operations for your immediate boss, who usually is going to be one of your guys, and it's like, Yep. Just let me know if you need anything, And so it was awesome. So, we would hit train stations, we'd blow up, weapons caches, we would, mix it up a little bit here and there. At that time, the resistance, I wouldn't say is insignificant, but it was very tempered in that they didn't really know what to expect. So as soon as they saw us coming, like they might flood into an apartment complex, again, similar to here, and get in different windows and shoot a little bit. As soon as we would start shooting back or sending grenades through windows or blowing vehicles up out in front or whatever, then they would just be like, fuck this, And at that time, it was the first time that UAVs were being used, handheld UAVs. And so we had a UAV operator with us, and it was fucking awesome because, so he's got this little screen, and we're in a Humvee, he's in the fucking moon roof, and just launches it while we're driving, and it goes up. It's like 200 feet above, maybe 300 or 400 yards up in front of us. And now it's like, dude, we have the fucking playbook. We've got the eye in the sky. Like, we see that vantage point 300 yards ahead of everywhere we're going. So you're seeing dudes setting up and behind corners. Like, you can see everything. And obviously that's a huge advantage. But what was funny is that, a UAV that'll fit on this table at 200 feet in the sky looks like a fucking jet a mile up. And so they thought like they were about to get bombed, and so they'd start shooting at it and fucking running, like diving behind vehicles and they thought the world was ending, thinking like, oh, that's the first jet of like 10 of them that are coming to just bomb the shit out of us, not knowing that it's just a tiny little camera that's 200 feet above them. So they caught on fairly quick, as you can imagine. But even still, like they would try to shoot it down and usually couldn't, and so that helped us a lot. So, we kind of had to jump on everybody and utilize that for that several weeks.
Were you around like other units from the military at this point, or is it you guys pretty much all out on your own?
So in that area in Nasiriyah, and again, it was only for a few weeks. But
can we pull that up on a map, Alessi, if you don't mind? Nasiriyah.
So we had the 1st Marine Division and the 15th Marine Expeditionary Unit was who we were with, but they were running supplies. They may have been doing more combat operations than I'm familiar with, and I just didn't know. To my knowledge, we were kind of the only show in town in terms of really going out and trying to fuck people up. And so, as you can see, we're
we got it up on the screen, Nasiriyah, right
so
there.
if you look where Kuwait is,
Zoom out just a little less. It was just there. Yep.
Yeah. So we drove up Highway 1, get into Nasiriyah, and it's fucking game on, and stayed there for a while before we went up to Baghdad, and then ultimately up into Tikrit, which is his hometown, where we took his palace down, which is awesome.
We're gonna get there.
So that's all I have to say about that. And give you the Forrest Gump one-liner. Is it time to go? It was cool. It was kind of like the textbook, like total flexibility, deciding what to do, how to do it, when to do it. And we were kind of blue golding it, where we would go out one night and we would be kind of the main assault element, and our sister platoon would be our quick reaction force. And then the next night they would go do something, and we would either be in Humvees waiting to respond if they needed, or we'd even be in CH-46s or 47s, the big twin rotor helicopters, and we would fly around just doing racetracks. And if they said, hey, we're fucking taking heavies, then we would come in and react or whatever. But and then there were a few occasions where there was a train station in particular where we all went at the same time. So it was 32 guys, 2 platoons all at once on night vision, driving, go in, take this train station down, and blowing shit up. And again, little gunfire here and there, nothing really nothing crazy though. Like again, at that time they weren't really, and I would say generally speaking, for most of the years spent in Iraq, a lot of the operations were that way. There were certainly times where they would ambush you and they would overrun bases and they would really take it to you. But if you were to put a percentage on it, I think the overwhelming majority of the time it was, they'd, zipper you up or try, pot shots here and there. They'd engage you for a little bit and then try to disappear because they knew it was probably going to be overwhelming and they wouldn't get the best of it. So similar to Vietnam with the Viet Cong, not being in uniform and cutting your hair during the day and serving you fucking, meals, and then at night fucking fighting you and man jammies running around and disappearing is kind of the same environment, which is a pretty tough enemy to face. But so we spent a few weeks there doing that, and then went up to I want to say a small village called An-Numaniyah. We're there for a few days. Then we were in Baghdad.
What was Baghdad like?
It was pretty surreal, honestly.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.